I think
Do you want
those are going to happen regardless.
I know. Do you want to acapella it like the Draftsman? Come on, you could
Um,
do 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 do.
like a music intro. No, I don't think it's a music intro. Yeah.
Oh, fine.
Everybody has like some kind of intro. That will come later once people actually enjoy and care.
That's
And
fair. So kicking it off, I guess. Do you want me to tee it up for you, or do you want to just what's
yeah,
going on?
you go ahead, tee it up. Give you
Okay.
the hard job at the beginning.
Oh, fine. Hey, everybody, what's up? I'm Josh, and I'm joined today with the one and only amazing Chris Bevan, and this is the flagship episode of the euCreativ show. We were going to call it a podcast, but we're doing video here too. So,
Right. Yeah.
euCreativ show. Yeah.
You get to see us and everything.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks, Josh, for that amazing intro, the one and the only. So that's the only thing I can put behind my name. Yeah, there's only one me. And there's only one
Yeah.
you. Oh.
I don't know. You look up Joshua Johnson.
There's
Come
a
on.
million.
There's a million of us. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so let's get started into who we are and why you should be listening to us, and why we feel that we're qualified to give you information on being an artist. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
What have you done? Well, if you're watching the video, you could probably see that my room is full of artwork. So that's one thing. I am an artist. I'm a working artist. I have been every single day for the past 8 years. Actually, on the 26th of this month, it will be 8 years exactly, or maybe 9 years, 8 years, I'm pretty sure. Every single day. And the big thing on my website, chrisbevan.com, is about daily art practice, and how important that is for you as an artist to continually move forward, to keep motivated, and to really do what you love to do, and that is be an artist. So with these podcasts, hopefully we can help you with that. But more about, why you should listen to me. Oh man, I've been an artist since I was a young kid. Went to Art Institute of Chicago for a couple of years, 2 years, trained there for a while, finished up in Florida at a university. Whoa, not such a great education there, but have always worked in, charcoal, drawing, oil, everything since then. And the past 8 years, I've really upped my game and made sure that I'm an artist every single day. Also a web developer, web designer, and that's what I work as a position. It's where I make my real money from. But I've also sold my work. And actually, I talked to a friend of mine today. He wants to buy one of my drawings that I just did. And I'm like, you got to wait on that. So yeah, selling artist here. And plus I'm getting up there in age. 45 now, and I think that I've gained some information in my life, especially as an artist, to communicate to others. So that's me.
nice. Yeah, Chris is phenomenally skilled, and I just wanted to point that out because a lot of people think that it might be talent. Granted, I'm sure there's some natural affinity there for art, but I just want to say that I very much respect Chris's skill. As far as me, I'm Josh. Nice to see you. I am a tattoo artist by trade. I am a co-owner of a small tattoo studio in a very rural town. My educational background, I actually started art school at a university, transferred to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh, and then to a private academy where I racked up way too much student debt. And so we have very similar backgrounds. I look up to Chris very much as a mentor, whether he wants to admit he is one or not. You can find all of my work now at joshuagraphic.com. Sorry, my wife was trying to get a hold of me.
Too bad. This is more important. No,
yeah,
I'm kidding.
Well, this is the priority for the day, my man. But following in Chris's footsteps, I now post daily as well all of my art. And I love to teach. So that's kind of why I'm here.
Nice.
And I love to create in general. So being an entrepreneur.
Awesome. Yeah, Josh is also owns his own business. As a tattoo artist, he does that constantly. So if you're a two-dimensional representational artist and you find that difficult, imagine trying to see how it would look around a cylinder or someone's body that moves constantly. So Josh takes it to the next level. Pretty amazing, you know.
I try.
And thank you for mentioning talent on that. You know, that's one topic that we'll be talking about a lot, is the difference between talent and skill and effort, and how effort counts twice. I actually have the book Talent is Overrated by Jeff Colvin that I'm going to be reading soon, or at some point. But I love that whole idea that talent is overrated. It's a part of it. It's what gets you started as an artist. But honestly, what moves you forward as an artist is the love for it, and really getting in touch with what you want to be as an artist. And that's what we're going to be talking about today on today's podcast, which is entitled Artistic Identity.
That sounds very ominous.
I know. Yeah.
I like it.
Identity. Boom, boom, boom. Really? Oh my gosh. This is already going kind of weird. First one.
That's anyway. Fine.
So identity is one of those words that I think a lot of people are like, what does that mean? What do you mean by your identity? Well, it's what keeps you motivated. It's what fires you up. It's what gets you out of bed in the morning. It's when you do it, you feel like you're in a zone and everything else kind of disappears. If you can figure out, you know, where that lies within you, which is very difficult. I mean, you know, one day you might think, oh, I want to be this kind of person. One day I want to be that kind of person or that kind of artist. And then the next day, you know, 3 weeks later or whatever, it may change. You know, hopefully it doesn't change too often. Hopefully you can stick to something. But finding that identity is something that most spiritual teachers, self-help, personal improvement teachers, and individuals like me and Josh, and artists, you know, getting in touch with, you know, who you are as an artist is what really keeps the things moving forward.
I can definitely relate to that. Like I've always identified as some kind of artist ever since I was, you know, tiny little kid. My mom had pencils in my hands as soon as I could grasp anything. She introduced me to artists whenever I was, you know, 4 and 5 years old. And it was easy for me to figure out that identity when I was young. Then I hit my teens, and toward the end of my teenage years, you know, that's where you're trying to rediscover yourself. And like the beginning of my college career, I definitely lost my identity as an artist because I wanted to be a designer. You know, that's where the money is. I wanted to be a graphic designer.
That is so true. You know, this is something that me and my wife have talked about it before, because she's known since she was young what she wanted to do. You know who she wanted to be when she grew older, and this is what I wanted to do too. It was interesting when I finished up school at the University of Central Florida. I had been out of school for like 10 years or something. I was getting my own business going. I was, you know, doing murals, you know, this kind of thing, being an artist. And I was like, oh, I need to go back and just finish up after I paid off some student loan, you know, this kind of thing. But when I did finish up, when I actually, you know, graduated, I was talking to artists that were 10 years younger than I was at the time. And most of them, even after 4 years of college, you know, $100,000 plus, you know, that their parents or they have spent on this. Hey, what do you want to do? I really don't know. You know, so there's this big question mark. So, you know, I feel really fortunate of having, you know, at least some kind of inkling of my identity when I was young and moving forward. Like, you know, art has always been part of my life. But for individuals that have no idea, and then later on in life, like maybe today when you're listening to this, you go, yeah, maybe I want to be an artist. I'm not sure, so hopefully we can figure out, who you're really committed to being. And I think that word commitment is what's the most important here, is when you can find something that you love so much that you commit to it and you do something, outside yourself, kind of beyond yourself, this kind of thing. But yeah, Josh, with you going through, being young and saying, hey, this is what I want to do, but then all of us go through our teenage years, and it's like girls and cars and music and craziness. You're like, what? I'm just having fun,
Yeah, yeah. I may have had a little too much fun as a teenager. I mean, through high school though, I held on to that identity a lot. I took every single art class that my high school had to offer. I was in AP studio art for my senior year. I was published in my first magazine whenever I was 17, and
Wow.
and then I went to college. And college, I think, is what really beat the artist out of me for a while.
Prerequisites. Oh, geez.
Yeah, I eventually found my way back to art as not even a hobby. It was whenever I picked up a charcoal pencil again, it felt like coming home. So it was something that I had to do to feel fulfilled, and I didn't realize it was missing until I had it back, if that makes sense. So I'm lucky in that regard too, in that, when I was young, all the way up until I started college, I knew exactly who I wanted to be. College made me forget that for a while.
Mhm.
But then I picked up a charcoal pencil, and then I said, how can I make money doing this? And when my friends said, put it on their skin, I'm like, oh, okay. All right, let's do this.
Yeah, stab me with it,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Oh, so funny. That's yeah,
So
I 100% agree with you there. The big moment in my life that happened 8 years ago with committing to daily art was, it was very similar, where you get kind of lost, but it's something that is there, and you really just don't, you're not fulfilled, you don't feel it or whatever. Just to give us some backstory, I didn't practice art for a long time. I think it was the stint at that point was like 5 years. I didn't do anything. And before then, like right before then, before I stopped for a while, I had like a one-man show in Florida where I was showing my own work, but I just didn't like the marketing of it, so I just stopped it, which was a huge mistake. And I think a lot of artists do the same thing, where they get kind of lost, and even if it's, for a couple months or a year or a few weeks or whatever, it's just they don't do anything, and we kind of settle into this kind of drab move through life, job, maybe it's kids, maybe it's a relationship, other things kind of come up. But in the back of our head, we're thinking, man, I feel unfulfilled in some way. And then we, for me, and I think maybe for other artists, you'll see some amazing piece of artworks or painting or whatever, and you look at it and you go, wow, I wish I could do that. That's who I would like to be. I want to be the next Rembrandt, the next Picasso, the next this, the next that, or whatever, Lucian Freud, whoever you want to be. But you see that, and it kind of enlights that spark. But we're not practicing. James Clear says that, to define identity is defined as your repeated beingness, which simplifies it tremendously. I mean, if you think about it, if you did woodworking every day, you're a woodworker. If you were an office worker, a secretary every single day, you're an office worker, a secretary. If you're a parent, and you're obviously doing that every single day, so you're a parent, so it's your repeated beingness, and so there's some action involved with your identity, and there's where that commitment comes in. So my big moment was I saw the artwork. I wasn't fulfilled. I was away from art. And then I just kind of rubbed it up against reality, and I said, you know what? If I'm really serious about this, I'm going to make the commitment and do it every single day for the rest of my life. And that's where my identity, my commitment, really solidified, and everything really changed for me after that.
That sounds like a really defining moment. I can't say that I had a single experience that made me go from not an artist to suddenly an artist. Like for me, it was more of a progression toward that. So I never say never or always, but whenever I got back into art, it wasn't something that I did daily, but it was something that I built up sort of the habit over time. So maybe I draw for 2 or 3 days a week, and then I went to 4 or 5 days a week. And once I started tattooing, it became every day except Sunday, because I always wanted to take Sundays completely off. And then just recently, I was like, you know what, I'm all in. I'm gonna do this every day, even on Sundays, if I have to just sit down and doodle with my son. It's gonna be something every single day, and that made it more real, it seems like.
Yeah, when you make a commitment like that, where it's not every once in a while. I mean, who was it that said 99% is a bitch, but 100% is easy, right? I can't remember
Oh,
that wisdom came from, but the basic idea is you make a commitment. This is easier for habits too. You make a commitment to something, and you don't have to think about it anymore. Well, I've committed to brushing my teeth every day. You don't have to think about
yeah.
it. We just brush our teeth, this kind of thing. I've committed to doing art every day, however small that is. Now you don't even think about it. It's just like a habit. Oh, am I going to do my art today? I don't know if I feel like it. Oh, maybe tomorrow. Oh, I feel bad because I haven't done it in 3 days. All that's out the window. You make a commitment and you do it. This is who you are. And that's probably one of like the biggest questions you can ask yourself if you're struggling with your art motivation. If you're struggling to actually get to the easel, to get to the pottery area, the turning wheel, if you're struggling to get to the forge, or the tattoo studio, I think the very first place to start on this is, who are you? Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up in your life? I think these are probably the most important questions. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah. So we've talked about this in preparation for this episode, actually. But one of the notes that we have is thinking about our future and what we want to achieve. It's useful to start with your identity first. I proposed that there was another way to think about this. So you also mentioned earlier that you saw a painting that made you feel like, oh, I wish I could do that, and then you decided to start taking the steps to get there. That's kind of the same way that I approach a lot of things in my life. First, I do, rather than think about my identity, I think about what it is that I want in my life, and then I think about the things that I would have to do to get those things, and then I attach an identity to that. Like, this is the kind of person that would do the things that I need to do to get the things that I want to have. So I sort of progress up and then back down. And I found that to be kind of a really interesting mental model to go through.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at how to figure out who you are, because many individuals, I mean, let's be honest, most individuals think what, you know, what I want lots of money. I want a big house. I want a nice car. I want to be able to paint that good. I want to have a gallery full of my paintings, this kind of thing. These are wants. These are end goal kind of things. This is the end of it. What you're getting to. And I think most people would start out there, but it's a slippery slope, because if you start thinking about what all the time, and it's so easy to go to, money and prestige and these kind of things that you don't have control over, really. I mean, the only thing that you have control over is how you show up every day. So you would have to do exactly what you have done, Josh, is see the what. Of course, that's going to be part of everything in a lot of cases, but then work it backwards and say, well, who do I need to be and actually to get there? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the who is involved with you, but unfortunately, I think lots of individuals, they don't know how to make that kind of connection. They don't know how to make that transition. Their constant idea is, oh, this is what I want. This is what I want. And what that instills is, if you're always thinking about what, if you're thinking about that awesome looking painting or that awesome looking drawing, and then you keep screwing up, which is part of artwork, and then it's easy to just go to give up and say, oh, I'm not getting it, this kind of thing.
Yeah. In that case, you're obviously not being the kind of person that can get what you want. So it might help. You've sort of got two options at that point. You can either make the choice to be the kind of person and push through the failure, or adjust your aim a lot lower.
Yeah. But I feel, I feel that the reason why identity and who you are, who you're committed to being, is so powerful, because that will give you the energy to push through those times. I mean, this is part of artwork. Nicolaides, in his book, The Natural Way to Draw, says, you're going to make 5,000 terrible drawings, so get started now so you can get through those, because this is how you learn. Right?
Yeah.
You're not going to read in a book one day and go, oh, I know how to do it. No. It takes a ton of practice, tons of practice, and tons of really bad stuff to get to the good stuff, And most of the time when you think it's bad, it's probably not that bad anyways. I always, it helped me to think about, it was kind of a wake up moment, 8 years ago, when I was looking at this artwork, and I said to myself, if I don't start it now at, I think 39 I was at the point. Wait, does that work out? Yeah, I think so. Well, anyway, 37, it would be, yeah. Wow, math. Definitely an artist, not a mathematician. Actually, you don't even need to be a mathematician just to do subtraction. I just suck at it. But anyway. But when I wasn't being an artist and I saw what I would love to do, and here we go with the what again, I knew that I was never going to get this dream of my future at the end of my life, where I wanted to be a great artist, if I didn't commit to it. And it was this, it was kind of, Stephen Covey's, one of what number habit is it that he says, begin with the end in mind. Is that number 2, I think?
I think it's number 2. Pretty sure.
So 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. What was the first one, Josh?
Oh, it was on the tip of my tongue and then it slipped away.
Oh, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But we begin with
be proactive. Be proactive.
Yeah, okay. That's a really good one too. Oh my gosh, there's so much wisdom in that book. But to look at the end of your life and think, yeah, this is what I want to achieve. This is who I want to be at the end of my life. And then you can break it down, similar to what you said, Josh, this is what I want to achieve. And then you break it back down. And it always ends up with who you're committed to being daily.
Yeah.
Yeah. This isn't like a weekly thing. Oh, every Sunday I'm going to do artwork. I'll be an artist on Sunday, and the rest of the week I'm going to be, the web developer, which, I am every day also. So that's the other point. Start And I think, Josh, you want to start with what, I want to start with who, and I think we have some connection there, but maybe.
Well, no, so starting, we all have desires is sort of my point, but your ability to achieve the things that you want to achieve in life completely depends on who you're willing to be. So while some people do start with what they want, unless they become the person that can get that, it doesn't matter what they want. They're just going to be miserable.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you've got it written. Your identity drives your behaviors and your feelings, because that's sort of the progression there. And you mentioned the failures. Depending on who you are, you can look at those failures as growth opportunities or reasons to quit. So figuring out whether you're an artist is going to determine whether you continue to make art even though you're failing every single day.
Right.
The artist won't quit. They're just going to get better.
Yeah. Yeah. And that takes, a deep commitment to yourself. I love what you said there. You were saying, it doesn't matter what else you do if you're not committed to showing up, to have this commitment to your identity, it's not going to matter. Wonderful quote that I read or listened to just recently from Secrets of a Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. He says, it all comes down to this. If your subconscious, quote unquote, financial blueprint is not, quote unquote, set for success, nothing you learn, nothing you know, and nothing you do will make much of a difference. This same teaching is, constant throughout all great teachers from ancient history to modern times, which is, it all starts with your head. You can think about the skills, you can think about the prestige, you can think about all the paintings and the drawings on the wall, but if you don't get it committed into your head and get that identity right and who you want to be, it's not going to really, nothing's going to come out of it. You're going to be watching TV every day. You're not going to get up early in the morning or jump out of bed and be interested in something. It's going to be a slog. Which it will be anyways, but at least you'll have, this commitment to your identity to push through it,
It all boils down to, regardless of which way you look at it, whether you start with what you want out of life or you start with who you want to be in life, the only thing that really matters at the end of the day, at the end of your life, at the end of the week, the only thing that really matters is your identity, because unless you have the identity, it doesn't matter what you want. I mean, I guess the point that we're trying to make here is, if you want to be an artist, then you have to decide to make that a part of who you are.
Right. Yeah.
And once you identify as an artist, making the art becomes much, I don't want to say easier, but it becomes easier to do, even if it's just as hard to execute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the execution, the process is always going to be difficult and challenging, because if it was easy, come on, everybody would do it. It wouldn't be so important, this kind of thing. Nothing ever worth doing is going to be easy. I really love this quote from Robert Fritz, and I forget what book it comes from. This one fundamental choice is a foundation for the entire orientation of the creative. And now he was speaking into a broad sense on that. It wasn't creative as an artist, but creative for everyone, whether you're a businessman, an artist, a housewife, or, retired or video game player, whatever. Making this one fundamental choice is the foundation for your entire orientation of the rest of your life. You can choose to continue to do the things that aren't going to get you to where you want to be at the end of your life, or you can choose to take a step forward in what you would deem the right direction, whatever direction it is for you. But you always want to think, it doesn't take, I mean, look at my website for this, but it doesn't take huge leaps forward all the time in order for you to be in touch with your identity, for you to be in touch with who you want to be in your future. It's a daily practice, and that could be 30 minutes a day. That's what I commit to, at least 30 minutes a day of something. Today was a crazy day at work, and we were recording this, so I didn't have the best time or energy for my artwork today, and I got started on it, and I was like, oh man, my energy's gone. I spent about an hour, drawing, doing my warm-up, this kind of thing. I'm like, yeah, that's enough for today. I don't need to go crazy.
That's pretty awesome, though. The fact that even though you were completely drained, you still managed to push through probably the first 30 minutes, which is your minimum, and then you still got to an hour.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, honestly. Quote, actually. Sorry.
You're cool. If there's one thing piece of wisdom that I can give individuals that has so just, it's been one of the codifying forces in my life, if that word is correct, but is once you continue to do it, once you make it a habit, and I always push for daily habits, daily. You look at James Clear book, Atomic Habits, Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg, these habit creation specialists, they say you do it daily. You have to continually do it daily. Keep burning those grooves into your head of this is what you do. After 8 years, and even before then, I can't remember when it happened. It was probably within the first year of doing daily artwork. It became something I do. There's no thought. It doesn't just, I don't have to worry about, when I'm going to do it, or, well, I do plan these kind of things, but now I remember before, like the first year, maybe the first few months or whatever, when I was getting to work on something, actually the first few months it was like, I'm so fired up and I'm painting, this kind of thing. And then you'll hit that plateau. Your motivation dies, something happens at home, whatever, you don't have enough energy, all this kind of stuff. And it wanes, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, my willpower is nothing. And even 30 minutes is so difficult for you. And every artist is going to face this, but the wisdom is this: keep going, keep at it. Commit to, set that minimum, commit to it, and just know in the future, if you continue to do that, you continue to do it, eventually it's just like breathing. I got to do my art today, wake up, I do it. I've had years that have gone by, well, maybe 6 months in a row where I was just doing 30 minutes a day, and that was it, because my motivation was just so low, but I kept doing it. But then it goes in waves. This year has been my most productive year ever. Well, last year, 2020, was my most productive year ever. And I hope to get even, doing even more. Now, I don't even blink at an hour or 2 hours of drawing or whatever, this kind of thing. It kind of just happens. It's so deep in my identity right now that, yeah, I'm an artist. Let me ask you a question, Josh. At any point in your life, when you talk to someone, did you, and you like felt it on the tip of your tongue, like they asked you, what do you do? And you're going to say, I'm an artist, but you're kind of like, head down, I kind of do art. And you didn't feel exonerated enough to actually call yourself an artist. Have you ever felt that in your life?
Yeah, actually. So I would always preface it with something. So I used to teach online art classes. So rather than saying I'm an artist, I used to say, I teach people how to draw. And then I never really felt like I could actually call myself an artist until I went completely 100% in, burn all my bridges on being a tattoo artist. And then I realized that being a production tattoo artist didn't exactly make me I mean, it did make me more of an artist because I had to do it to feed my family, but it didn't make me any more fulfilled as an artist until I started making stuff for myself. But now I can say I'm an artist. I do teach people how to draw, and I'm a tattoo artist. I am all of the above.
Nice.
And I'm very happy to be that.
You know, it's that point where you reach in your life, because most of my life I've gone through like, yeah, I'm kind of an artist, you know, I don't make money at it, you know, I don't do this, I don't do that. But now, once you get into that, again, as James Clear says, repeated beingness, your identity becomes that. Right?
Yeah.
If you play video games every day, you're a gamer. You know, if you drive cars for a living, you're a driver. You know, if you're a taxi driver, you're a taxi driver. You know, whatever you do every single day, you know, that's who you can identify as. You know, this kind of thing. I like, you know, going back to identity drives behavior, which drives feelings. This is exactly the same thing, you know. Usually we react to our feelings first, you know, oh, I really want this, you know, and that we get fired up and all this kind of stuff. But we always have to bring it to the identity, because that's what gets our behavior moving forward and then drives our feelings. So our feeling is, I don't feel like an artist, right? But I start to really identify as an artist. I make a commitment to do it daily. That's my behavior. And then eventually I'm like, heck yeah, I'm an artist. I do it every single day. This is what I do. Yeah.
I was recently listening to a podcast, the James Altucher Show, and he had Chase Jarvis on, photographer, started the Creative Live company. But he just released a book called Creative Calling, and his argument in that podcast was that creativity is one of the most foundational human abilities, because creativity drives everything else in your life. Creativity can be applied to anything in your life, and it's a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Therefore, bringing creativity into your life gives you the agency to achieve more with your life as well. And that, like, everything we've been talking about seems to tie into that idea that, you know, becoming this thing is a creative act. Creating your identity will give you more agency to achieve whatever you want. And it's a really powerful idea.
I love that. Yeah, that's wonderful. Especially this idea of agency, right? For those who don't know, agency is basically you're feeling that you can do this, right? I have the ability to accomplish X, Y, and Z, right? I don't have much agency in subtracting or adding numbers, obviously, but I do have agency in drawing. I know that I can draw just about everything I look at with no problem. But yeah, that is absolutely wonderful. The creative force is huge. And, you know, interesting enough, I do web development, right? And Josh, you also do a lot of web stuff. I mean, we're both tech nerds, which is so funny. You know, these are dichotomies, right? They're on, you know, people would think on either end of the spectrum. But I, as a creative person, my identity has flowed into my web development gig, where basically everything I do on there is all about creation. Okay.
Problem solving. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've never got into the web development side of things where you're deep into Java or C+ or Objective-C or whatever language you want to talk about, you know, just C, where it's nothing but conditionals and code and objects and variables and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I have done some of that, but only in the instance where it actually creates something visual, you know?
Yeah.
I love HTML, love CSS, love JavaScript, because you create something visual with it. It's like, whoa, I can type and it actually creates something. I mean, I can look at a web page and think of the code in my head in kind of a visual format, but it's a creative thing. So my identity as an artist, who I repeatedly be, what I repeatedly do, begins to flow into every part of my life. And if you're the same thing, if you are committed to this, it will flow into every part of your life.
Yeah. I've thought a lot about identity in the past, but I think this is the first time where I realize, like, this very conversation, actually, this is the first time where I've realized just how much of a driving force it all is when you tie it all together. Like, conceptually, I could say I understood it, but yeah.
Well, think about it this way. This might be easy for individuals to handle, and it's something that I'm struggling with that has nothing to do with artwork. Actually, both me and my wife are struggling with. So we're vegetarian. Well, somewhere we're pescatarian, I think, where we eat fish now. So we'll have fish because I need some protein. Blah blah blah. Anyways. But we cut out some crazy things. We cut out sugar, we cut out flour, we cut out vegetable oils. We don't have any of those. But if you went into a restaurant and you told some individual, you say, hey, I can have these, but it can't have any flour, sugar, or vegetable oil in it. They would look at you like you're crazy, right? Not only because it would be difficult, but because it's like people just don't ask for that. It's just like it doesn't happen. And so there's not a connection there, right? But if I walked into the same restaurant and I said, I'm Jewish and everything must be kosher, or I'm Muslim and I want to make sure that there's no pork products within this particular meal, or I'm vegetarian, can you make sure that, and you look at vegetarian, if you're a vegetarian, you go into most restaurants, they'll have a vegetarian section of the menu. So there's an importance set to it. And this is the difference between not having an identity and having an identity, right? So when you identify as, and it's almost a religious sense, it's a ritual kind of thing, where you identify as a Muslim, a vegetarian, Jewish, these kind of things. These are deep identities. You go to church every day, you go to mass every day, you go to mosque every day. These kind of things. It's such a huge identity for a person, and no one blinks at it. They're like, wow, okay, this person's committed to this religion. So internally, when you look at something you love and something you want to do for the rest of your life, you make the same kind of commitment as you would to a higher power in the universe, whatever you will call it, universe, Jesus, Allah, Abraham, whatever. Once you make that commitment, it's as deeply ingrained in you as someone that makes a religious commitment. And through that, it adjusts every part of your life. Just like some individuals wouldn't eat a certain thing or wouldn't drink a certain way or wouldn't curse, it's like, oh, this is just something I do. And what that can do for you is when you have that deep of identity, a deep commitment to who you want to be, it gives you such a stronger sense of self-worth. And you can go to individuals that say, oh, you're crazy for not doing the sugar or the flour. Like, you're not going to make anything doing those weird drawings that you like or whatever. I don't know. Who's going to buy that? You can tap into that identity and go, no, this is important to me. This is how I want to move forward. And instead of being daunted by that, individuals that challenge it becomes motivation for yourself. You're like, all right, I see what you mean. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do
the fire.
Exactly. That, keep hitting me with these sarcasms or negatives or whatever. I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna keep going with it and do what I need to do to reach the person I want to reach at the end of my life. This kind of thing.
That, yeah.
Mm.
That resonates so a lot, man. Yeah. I think we need to wait for the actual exercise of committing to it, or figuring out what a daily commitment could be to your lifelong commitment. We can talk more about that in episode 2.
exactly.
That was deep and practical, sir. That was that was a very, very good capstone, I do believe.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think the next one we talk about is, because this is all kind of, it's not nebulous, but it's out there, right? And it doesn't give a person like a practical way to move forward. Go ahead.
I think the last point there actually did give some really practical advice on how to move forward. That kind of not just outward commitment, but deep commitment is what you need to really succeed with maybe not physically succeed, but internally succeed to become who you want to be. It takes that deep of a commitment.
Yeah, internal success. I love that. If we want to be successful externally, we have to be successful internally first. You know?
Yeah.
I love that. That's wonderful.
Oh,
hey, that was really good, man.
That was really good. I'm glad we're recording this.
Right. Yeah, for everyone that's actually still listening to this, we started out because I had a crazy work day and we were supposed to record this early in the morning, but it's like late in the day for both of us. And I'm like, man, I don't have any energy. Let's just try something anyways. But I'm feeling
this was
kind of
my number one today, man. This was my number one. Like, that's why I was like, you know what? I'll reschedule for later in the day. I don't care. This is like my one priority. I wanted this.
And you know what? I'm feeling it, man. I'm enjoying this tremendously. It's like being inside of a painting and then looking up and 3 hours have gone by and you're like, what? You know, that flow zone.
Our stopping point was 20 minutes ago. I'm fine with that though. I am going to go ahead and throw in that last little point though, the big call for action. Yeah. Unless you want to take this one away. I did the intro. You got this.
I think I've talked enough. You go.
Oh,
you go.
Fine. All right. So first of all, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who is listening, watching, joining us in any way for the flagship episode of the euCreativ show. So we really want to get a conversation going with anyone who might be watching or listening. So what we want to know right now is, what is your biggest struggle staying motivated as an artist or creator? Wherever you're consuming this, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, our blog, iTunes, wherever you're like joining us from, leave a comment right now, just letting us know what your biggest struggle to stay motivated is as an artist or creator. And we're going to do everything we can to help you, meet that challenge. Yeah.
Awesome. That was great.
Thank you, sir.
I love your bookends. Yeah. You did the beginning and the end. Perfect.
Fine. I guess I have a job now. So what do you do? Oh, I do intros and outros for my podcast. That's who I am.
Yeah. You're the buns that make up my sandwich.
Oh, so corny.
That was
so corny. You're so punny, man. You're so punny. Oh, I love it.
On that note, we're going to stop this one. Thank you, everyone.